Against the backdrop of macroeconomic challenges, inflationary trend in Nigeria has continued to rise, with annual inflation rate being in double digits since 2016, impacting heavily on incomes and savings. Now, the recent inflation report for October 2023 rose to 27.33% year-on-year, making it the highest level in about 18 years. The consistent rise in inflation is posing challenges for the economy and putting pressure on policymakers to address the situation effectively. Meanwhile, the World Bank projects that Nigeria's economy is expected to grow at an average of 3.4% between 2023 and 2025, despite the social and economic challenges the country faces. Well, I introduced her earlier. She is the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chinyere Amona. It's good to have you on the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tolu, and thanks for having me. Good afternoon to your viewers.
Yep. Well, 0.61 percentage points is the increase we have, looking at September figures to October. But many would say that was expected, considering the hike in the price of fuel and food and all that we've seen. Was LCCI expecting anything else? And what is your reaction to these figures?
Well, like you said, the upward trend is quite worrisome. Today, we're looking at 27.33% inflation, and that's a big hit for the economy, for the ordinary man. And, you've rightly alluded the issues. So hike in fuel price, but also food inflation is the main factor pushing inflation figure up. And when you think about food inflation, there are so many things that will go into it, apart from the fact that the price of food will keep increasing, but also even the availability is also an issue. So we need to think of how to deal with it, because the common man is really struggling. The cost of fuel is affecting the food, but it's also affecting cost of living generally. So we need to think about what to do about it. So we are very concerned at the chamber.
This is worrisome. Even food, non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, almost across the board had that effect this time around. What impact do you think this will have on an average man on the street?
So the things that you've mentioned, water, housing, food, non-alcoholic beverages, these are things that affect the livelihood of an individual, even at the most basic level. And the pressure is putting on everything. So in terms of spending, people are, the spending capacity is reducing, because of course, as the food prices go up, your ability to purchase more keeps reducing. Also, that affects the manufacturing capacity as well, because if I'm not able to purchase, the manufacturers are also having challenges because they are unable to sell as much as they will want to. And so it's a cyclical problem that we need to figure out, how do we come out of this? Because today, the common man on the street are complaining about everything. The fuel price is rising, so logistics in terms of moving around, transportation is very difficult. There's difficulty with electricity, no power. So even the small businesses are really, really struggling. You go around, and I listen to my members, and they are complaining about these same things, and it's affecting their businesses. It's affecting their ability to hire. It's affecting their ability to even pay the wages for those that they have hired. So it's a cycle of problems that we need to deal with.
Really, myriads of challenges there. Now, before we go to maybe profiling solutions to most of these challenges, we've not talked about the big elephant in the cupboard, which is the depreciation of the naira and what has been happening, the battering of the naira. Well, anyway, a little bit. It's been flip-flop, but not up to the level that everyone will expect. How is that also hitting the market? And how are manufacturers and business people under the chambers coping with this situation?
Well, the struggle continues with everybody, both businesses and individuals, because for as the naira depreciates, of course, when we talk about purchasing power, your purchasing power is reducing, not just because you don't have enough money, but also even the money you have, the naira you have, its value in the international market is less, significantly less. So if you're a manufacturer and you need to import your inputs, that will be difficult because we're having challenges with availability of forex, but also then the disparity is much. So it's difficult for manufacturers to import what they need to produce. So that then is affecting production because if they can't import the raw materials, significant raw materials that they need, then they can't produce. Also, with the naira depreciating as bad as it is, then you have chances of the people that you employ wanting to earn more. So they need to earn more to be able to accommodate the just livelihood generally. And you can't do that because you're not producing enough to be able to pay them more. Logistics is also a problem because even if you produce, how do you transport it? Our roads are bad. The transport network is poor, so it's difficult to move goods and services around. And we talked about food inflation earlier. Just the difficulty in logistics affects food moving from farm to factory to table, and so it's like a potpourri of problems that we need to deal with.
Let's now start looking at solutions now, because moving on, first I would ask before we get to, I'm worried, are we going to continue at this pace? It seems like we might continue like this as we move to the end of the year. We have a few weeks to the end of the year. How does that come to you? I'm talking about inflation figures.
It's difficult to predict, but like I think about when the new government came on board and first subsidy was removed, we did say that policy was a good policy. However, it will dampen inflation figures. It will dampen spending. It will cause a lot of problem within the system until it gets better. And we had predicted like 18 months. 12 to 18 months for there to be an uptick, because this the challenges that we are facing today didn't start overnight. So it's been like years of depreciation, years of all of these issues, challenges in the system, and so just having a policy change will also then take time for things to begin to reverse and then get better. So it's quite difficult for me to predict what it will be like. But I believe that as we go into next year, hopefully that things will begin to take shape. For instance, CBN, I was at the forum and a CBN representative was talking about what effort they're making to deal with the backlog, the FX backlog. Now, if they're able to do that and we can manage to increase or enhance our productive capacity, that means the pressure on the dollar will reduce. And so there will be a slight strengthening of the naira. So we need to continue to do the right things. We need to continue to enhance or encourage production. We need to continue to have policies that will improve the ease of doing business so that businesses can begin to flourish and employ more people, and then there'll be an uptick within the economy.
Great stuff. Now, part of the recommendations I see in the press release put together, of course, signed by you, DG, is that federal government must also focus on boosting FDIs and attract, of course, confidence and attracting FDIs. Tell us how you see this impacting our economy positively.
Okay, in your last interview, I heard you asking about how forex is affecting the foreign foreign investors.
Yes.
So if we can increase or enhance their confidence in the system, that will have policies that will work well, then the chances are that they will want to bring in their forex, their dollar, to invest in Nigeria. And once that happens, we are able to have supply for all the other things that we want to do. Because the challenge with what manufacturers are saying is they can't find, they don't have forex, is because we don't have enough supply. There's a liquidity problem in terms of forex. So we don't have the supply to be able to deploy to import raw materials for manufacturing capacity. So if we manage to improve the way they see us and enhance the confidence level, then they're going to come in. They're going to come in with Forex, and it's going to help us. It's going to help us reduce the pressure that we're facing today. One of the ways they can do that, and one thing that has been on our lips for a long time, is the security challenges. We need to deal with the security challenges. And once we're able to do some of those things, and also demonstrate that the policies are not going to change arbitrarily. So if we have a policy, the policy stays, and we can have confidence. They won't have quick changes that nobody is anticipating. Then investors will be confident, investors will be comfortable, investors will be assured that they can do business in Nigeria, and then they will come in.
Very interesting. You beat me to it. I wanted to ask you that what are the factors affecting or fueling food inflation? And of course, one topping that chart, of course, is insecurity. And of course, issues around movement of produce from the rural to urban areas, which government must clearly look at. It's important. But before I let you go, DG, a lot of work is being done. I think I see on the fiscal side to attract investment, also on the monetary side to stabilize the currency, to make sure that we have seamless flow. Of course, we don't have enough FX, we know that, but at least trying to make all of this work. What do you think about that handshake between both sides to make us achieve inclusive growth at the end of the day? I'm talking about the fiscal and the monetary side.
That handshake is very important, because we see historically there hasn't been proper alignment between the fiscal policies and the monetary policy. So that's why some of these challenges that we're having today we are seeing. And once we are able to achieve that with the new CBN management, that is helpful. They have come up with new ideas and innovative ways to ensure that handshake happens. On the fiscal side, we need to begin to think of the taxation. How do we deal with tax issue? How do we streamline or make tax a bit more efficient so that we can, the few companies that are being taxed are not overburdened, but also we widen the tax net so it's easier for everyone. And then there should be some level of accountability in the system and transparency where, in the Western world, the tax level is even higher on that side. But the fact that people can see what you're doing with our tax and it's affecting our livelihood, then it's easier to collect the taxes. But here, the challenge is that we are paying all these taxes and there's no accountability, So it's important that as government is considering how do we boost confidence in the system, is to ensure that the fiscal and monetary policies come together and are in alignment towards the ultimate goal of improving the economy.
Finally, DG, before I let you get back to work, what will be your message to members of the chambers? I know a lot of complaints is coming from everywhere. You have various groups and everybody comes with their complaints. Yes, what are you telling them, and what is your outlook, of course, for businesses generally? Considering what we see, let's project with what we see. What are you thinking? It's few weeks to the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay, so really the message is hanging there. Things are going to get better. The message is also for those who can find alternative ways or alternative input to their production facility. Let's look inwards. Let's kind of domesticate some of the things that we do. If we look inwards and find alternative raw materials or alternative ways, then the pressure on forests will come down eventually. And so things will look up a bit faster. So hang in there, it's going to get better. But let's also help each other. Each company needs to look inward, think about how do we ensure more efficiency in the process, how do we use technology to make things easier and our work outlay a bit faster so that our output will be better. So these are some of the things that businesses, manufacturers need to do. And you're right, we have 27 sectorial groups at the chamber, and so we have very diverse concerns from all sectors. But basically, sectors must get focused on how to move things forward. And what will also help our members with is an engagement with the regulator so that there is proper handshake between the operators and the regulator to make things better.
Indeed, a lot of handshakes. We need to just have all of these handshakes so that we can get going. DG, I must thank you so much. Backward integration, yes, I'm holding on to that. It is really the way to go. I must thank you so much, Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chinri Amuna, for joining us to start the week on Business Nigeria. We appreciate this. Have a great one.